I am joined today by Ed. So, Ed, if you'd like to introduce yourself, please.
Hi folks, I'm Ed Brad. I'm a Romford Raiders fan. Important to add that Romford back to our name again after all these years. Been following for about 16 years, but a lot more over the last 6 seasons as I kind of moved back to the Romford area with my missus and kids. Kids love going to games almost as much as I do.
Fantastic. And thanks very much for joining us. So, Ed's going to talk us through the season for the Romford Raiders and how good it must be to say that. I've tuned in on various streams and for Telford when Romford have been up there, and Shutsy's always been tripping over it. So, he'll be very relieved for what I would imagine.
Oh, I could imagine all the commentators around the league would be very happy just to go Romford Raiders.
Very much so. So, thinking back to the season that's just gone, as we were heading into it, thinking back to last September, what were the expectations going into the season for the Romford Raiders?
So for me, I was hoping after the previous season's run all the way to the final against Leeds that we'd be pushing for top six and be closer to the top four. We'd managed to keep what I think is very important for us, a core of local lads. Added George Norcliffe from the Bison, added Zach Milton from the Bison, carried on collecting these kind of Bison captains that Sean seems to like collecting. Um, we had Adam Lation be able to commit full time. And before the season started, on the horizon, there was an import D man on the way in who
Mm.
would have helped solidify our defence, hopefully, and another import forward. Sadly, the import D man never arrived due to some passport issues. It seemed to kind of throw us out a bit. And then we rotated through quite a few imports until January, where we ended up settling down with Jesper Eriksson to complement Koi Prevo and Adam. Then had our almost annual run of netminder injuries. I don't know what our boys have done to upset the netminder hockey gods, but you can guarantee there's at least a 6-week period where at least one of them or both of them are injured. But yeah, so that was the kind of hope and expectations from kind of me and quite a few fans coming into the season.
Okay, so very much, I guess, building upon last season and looking to get top six and ideally perhaps even challenge up for the top four, maybe a cup semi-final. Would that be the
Exactly.
strategy?
Would have been nice to start the season, we're going to get a cup semi-final, and as you quite rightly say, that push a couple of the bigger boys in the league like yourselves, the Leeds and the MKs, kind of a little bit closer.
Sadly, I don't think we're quite counted as one of the bigger boys, sadly, at the moment. But
Yeah, you've got a nice history, so
yeah, that's true. That is true. So yes, that was the expectations at the start. So as the season was going on, do you think there were any, I guess, key games, key times, key moments?
I, it, there's two very distinct sides to our season. Um, so I wouldn't say there was too many key games, but two very distinct parts. Firstly, was our kind of run up to December and going rock bottom of the league. Probably the lowest point of that was the 5-2 away loss to Solway. 18 hours on the road. I was lucky enough to be one of a few fans that managed to get on the coach up there with the players. A bit of inside information, we rocked up there. There wasn't one player that didn't have a sniffle or a cold. We raided chemists to kind of get them on the ice. We went out there, and for some reason, kind of over that period up until then, it just wasn't clicking. The
Mm.
the confidence had gone. Sean was trying absolutely everything imaginable to try and get the team clicking, but it just didn't work. And then we seemed to get into December, and it started working. The system clicked. Players hit form. The confidence came back. It was like watching a Romford team again. The kind of confidence, the niggly side, the physical side had come back to it. The lines had settled, and probably during that time, one of the key games, as ever, a local derby win away in Slough against Ibiza, a nice 10-1 win, kind of kept us. I think that kind of highlighted where we were going and the direction we were going in. And barring a little bit of a wobble, kind of round about February, we maintained good form up until the end of the season. So I was quite
Fantastic.
happy.
I'll bet. I'll
Yeah.
bet. So I guess you put the season there into sort of two parts. So that's September to December, where a bit of a struggle. and then December onwards. So December onwards, do you think it was just a case of players getting used to playing with each other and the line settling down, or do you think there was
It
anything
did.
extra?
We had a couple of players come back from injury. We
Yep.
almost accidentally stumbled on Koi Prevo, who is a forward and a D man, converting to play primarily as a forward, and we almost run our first three lines. You could almost say were first lines. There wasn't kind of any distinct difference between them. Each one was carrying for our level a high end Brit. Each one was carrying an import on the forward line, and the defence was working. The defence pairings had kind of clicked.
Fantastic. Yeah, certainly helps when it all comes together like that.
Yeah.
So as we discussed, obviously the expectations were, or certainly the hopes were, a top six finish. Narrowly missed out on that, but did secure seventh, which was good enough for the playoffs.
Yeah.
Let's be honest, it was one hell of a tough playoff group. What were the expectations going into it?
So, to be honest, going into it was more than happy to have reached it. We'd looked back kind of, I think it was around about November time. We were rock bottom of the league, no confidence. So getting in there, and as you say, especially with the three other sides that we were partnered with, it was going to be a competitive, difficult set of games. I was more than confident that we could rattle a few sides that are very loud and vocal. Sapphire, we could get the people at home and nick a few wins there. However, after some team from Telford kind of came along and spoiled that in the first two games for us, it was always going to be an uphill battle. But I still feel we gave a good show of ourselves. And we didn't finish bottom of the group, so that's always a good start.
Indeed, and far from.
And we won as many as we lost. So I was quite happy with that. Over those kind of playoff games, it was probably the two Swindon games that kind of stick out for me as the highlights. And the most memorable of that was probably Swindon away. We had a rather dubious call, as you would say, as it's against your side, of a 5-minute penalty against Zach Milton that we managed to shut out against a very good Swindon side, and kind of held them out at home. And you must feel the same. The intensity and skill levels during the entire set of 6 games, I just hadn't seen that for such a prolonged period in ages.
Yeah. And I mean, what you sort of highlighted there, I mean, shutting out a 5-minute penalty anyway, I think it's great. But considering, I guess, sort of the weapons that Swindon have got on the power play as well, that really was quite an achievement.
Yeah, it was great. And yeah, that was it. I would say, obviously, would have liked to have qualified for Coventry, but it was, as I say, I do think those first 2 games against Telford was what effectively cost us. I think what showed it there from the Telford side was you've got guys there that have done it before. Your team, I think, is a little bit further along the development program.
Yeah, I think we just clicked at the right time. It did all come together quite nice, sort of at the end of the season. But yeah, I mean, well, the first game at Raiders, I can remember I was looking at the score and saw that you were like a couple of goals ahead with a few minutes to go, so I'd written that one off basically, and then thought later on, oh god, I suppose I'd best check it, and like, wow, where did that come from? But I mean, after the 2 Telford games, so it was Swindon twice, Milton Keynes twice, and to win 3 out of those 4 games, I would argue is pretty impressive going for any team, quite simply, because that's about as tough as it comes within the league.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. So narrowly missed out on the playoffs, only a point away, with Swindon just taking that second place. How would you rate the season overall then?
Probably not as good as I would have hoped or expected after last year and managing to hold on to the core of players we did. But from where we were in November, a good season. We're narrowly missed out on 6th.
Yeah.
We almost hit that kind of 50-50 record, the 50% record on points.
Yeah.
That's a kind of good marker for a good team. And we carried on scoring goals. I think we ended up being the fourth highest scorers or fifth highest scorers in the league. So it was good attacking hockey to watch. And an awful, if we can maintain our core for next year, there's a nice building block of a side there.
That leads nicely into, I guess, the next question. So, hopes, expectations for next season? I appreciate it's really early on, but
and Romford are notoriously slow in announcing our signings, so it's
join the club.
Join the club. Yeah. Us two will probably be sitting there, kind of 1 week away from the first game, still wondering who that final import will be or who's going to fill that backup netminder role. But as I say, I think from my side, my hopes for next season. Well, on the league overall, with the rumours going around that it might move away from EHA to Ice Hockey UK, I think that could have a dramatic effect on the league, full stop. But kind of down on the Romford Raiders level, stay competitive, make playoffs again. If they keep this round robin playoffs, I hope they do, because it was a nice little end to the season. 6 more games I didn't expect to have. Keep our core of local Brits who have Romford in their heart and bring through a few more younger players from the second team. The whole squad showed a kind of great tenacity this season. However, not favouring 4 players over more, but I'd like to kind of like 4 players as an example of that, the kind of Romford ethic. We had TJ Anderson and Marco Pascal kind of come through. Marco's D-man, TJ's a forward, as we all know. In their first full seniors seasons, stepping up full-time and not looking out of place. They came through crucial goals at different points. Marco holding off quite well in defence. And then kind of going to the other end, we also had 2 of our kind of stalwarts who have been there a long time. Brandon Alief, he kind of came through and he's now clocked up over 300 consecutive games in a row. And hasn't missed a training session either during that process as well. And then also Jack Cooper, who has now played over 440 games for Romford. It's kind of that kind of commitment local core clubs like us need to be able to remain competitive with these kind of I wouldn't say money sides, but bigger sides.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. And yeah, I mean, I think if I'm thinking ahead to next season, I'll perhaps sort of put Telford and Romford at the moment in that same kind of area of taking a look at, you know, this kind of 6th, but hopefully aiming for see if we can sneak into the top 4 or something like that.
Exactly.
And I think if you keep a good core, do you know what? A few bounces go your way as well. There's sort of every possibility.
Oh, exactly. And as you quite rightly say, it's kind of getting, even if you don't make or sneak into that top 4, it's getting close to it. It's still being able to get there, maybe with 5 games to go or 6 games to go in the season, kind of pushing these bigger sides along.
Yeah, ideally going into that final weekend with something positive to play for, rather than well, actually we're playing just to get into the playoffs or anything like that. And yeah, I would think, well, I would certainly hope that we'd be in that position, and certainly Romford, I'd expect to sort of be in the same kind of situation as well, particularly if they could sort of keep that core of players who've done such a great job. I would say this season, but certainly over the past couple of seasons.
Yeah, and that's probably our long-standing thing. We've been able to keep Sean Easton as head coach for numerous amounts of seasons. A lot of these guys that are playing for him now have played for him at different age groups all the way through. So it's a very tightly knit squad.
Yeah. I think that definitely helps. I mean, I guess Tigers are really fortunate. You know, Tom's been there for, well, forever. Feels like forever, although I know it actually isn't. And again, he's brought through some really good young local players. And yeah, I think we're really starting to sort of see the benefit of that. Anyway, that's enough about the Tigers, because I haven't invited you on to talk about the Tigers.
That's fine, of course.
But no, fantastic stuff. So go through a few quick fire questions at you now. I know you highlighted 4 players just a couple of moments ago, but who would you pick as your player of the season?
Simply put, Adam Latham. The guy's sheer will and skill won us games. He was just that much better than a lot of other players during the season, and probably closely followed by TJ Anderson, who managed to get the knack of scoring goals at important times.
Bit of a breakout season, would you have said, for TJ Anderson then, or?
Oh, for sure, for sure. The amount of goals he's clocked up in his first season, it was good.
Stick, lovely, thank you. So, just going into the close season, in terms of re-signings, if there was one player that Romford could re-sign who hasn't yet been signed, who would that be?
Like yourselves, we haven't. We're slow off the mark. So I'll
We've
just
got
have
one.
to go back. Yeah, I'd have to go back for Adam Latham again. If he could confirm him as a signing this week, I think the whole fan base would be ecstatic.
Yeah, he's put up some decent numbers, I think it'd be fair to say, and yeah,
The first player of ours to get past 100 points in, I think, about 10 years in a season. So it's
that says a lot. The challenge could be if perhaps some of the other clubs start looking, but hopefully not for yourselves. So we thought about, I guess, the current squad there and re-signing. But if there was a former player that you could re-sign, who would that be?
I know I speak for the entire fan base who saw him play, and that'd be Matt Gomasic.
Okay.
He was 2 seasons ago. He was one of our imports. He was not only a great bloke off the ice, but phenomenal on it, and was very much key to our post-Christmas run 2 seasons ago now to reach Leeds and get to the final. Great all-round player.
I know that sounds good. So again, thinking about, I guess, signing players, this time not one necessarily who's played for Romford Raiders, but if you could sign any player from another team, who would that be?
Up until the playoff weekend, I had someone different down here.
Okay.
But it was watching him play 2 games for the Phantoms, and it would be their young D-man, Bradley Bowering.
Okay, yeah.
He showed maturity in defence, and I love an attacking D-man, and absolute nerves of steel to score during that penalty shootout at the end.
Good shout, good shout. I'll give you a second one then. Who would it have been before the weekend?
For the weekend, I'm probably going to have my son, if he listens to this, not be too happy, because he's one of the players we do love winding up when he arrives, and that would have been Declan Balmer from Hull, just because I think that's the one thing the squad's missed all season, is an absolute solid, out-and-out D-man to match the quality of forwards that we had.
Yeah, and Farmer, I think, definitely provides that, and definitely plenty of grit as well. So yeah,
exactly.
good shout as well there, I think. Okay, so got Farmer and Bowering there. I'm going to bring it a little bit closer to home, I guess. So one player from the Telford Tigers. If you could take any one player from Telford Tigers, this isn't an invitation to do so, though, please. If you could take any one player, who would it be?
Now, I like a centre with a bit of, I'm trying to think of a nice way of putting this, niggly, chirpy, strong, a bit of a rat about them.
Yeah.
And one of your guys that's really impressed me along those lines is Harry Ferguson.
Yes.
I love the way he plays. He's strong, he's direct, he's on the net. It's I used to play rugby when I was younger, so I love the kind of big, strong physical contact that he makes, and his ability just to wind people up.
Yeah, good shout. Yeah, I've enjoyed watching him play this season, and he's brought back something that I don't know. I kind of felt perhaps we were missing a little bit of last season at times. So yeah, it was good to see.
Yeah, I think last season you had it a little bit in Herman, but he was a bit more of you, but Ferguson for sure.
Yeah, we did a little bit with Herman, but unfortunately, with the points that he was putting up, we didn't want him getting involved in that side of the game, because when you got somebody going along at I think about 2.3 points a game, you don't want him sitting in the penalty box winding players up or anything. So
for sure.
yeah. So, plenty about players. One final question. Best team that you saw last season?
Barring Romford, of course.
Barring Romford, of course.
Leeds were the most complete side I saw play all year. From their netminder through to their forwards, all good. However, not just because I'm on a Tigers podcast, probably the best comeback performance I saw by any away side of the Sapphire was you guys in that first playoff game. To be, I think it was 5-3 down.
Yeah.
Kind of going into that last thing, the way your players, and especially your senior players, dragged that result out. It was as painful as it was. Now I've had time to kind of sit back, decompress from it. It was a phenomenal comeback.
Oh, lovely. Well, thanks very much for joining, Ed. Thanks for talking about the season that Romford Raiders have had. Great to have you on. And who knows, maybe as we get close to the season, you might want to come back on and give us a preview for the Raiders' upcoming season.
Oh, yeah, feel free. I'm more than happy to come back on.
Fantastic. Well, that's all for now. As I say, spoken with Ed today and be speaking with fans from other teams as well. So look forward to seeing you all back. Bye for now.